Hey guys, this is Steve again. Today is December 4th, 2025. And this morning I received a message from on YouTube. I don't know if I should say the name or not, but because I'm making it because we just talked, so you can see it in the comments of how I was doing. And I realized that the last time I made a video was in the 4th through 6th month of 2023 from the surgery that I had, which was a minimally invasive TLIF S1 through L4, and how I was doing. So I started to comment on his question, how I was doing. But I found myself going back to watch the video because it was a few years ago, and it just dawned on me, like, at the time of when I was making that one, what I was talking about made me really want to come in and make another video because it would be easier to explain up here. Now, I know it could be lengthy because a lot has happened in the 2 years, I guess. And where I am now from that point, I felt it would be beneficial to just make the video for him and whoever is watching it. And I guess, you in the beginning stages of this, you make videos to try to help, and you're helping yourself. And I'm glad I made it because I can look back on it now. And this is also going to be raw, so I have no script or anything, so just bear with me. You stop making it because you're going through different pains, the healing and everything that's happening. And also sometimes, you're not getting anyone viewing it or responses and things. So like anything with any social media stuff, if you're not getting any real responses or feedback from it, you kind of stop doing it. And life got ahead. So, life just started happening. So anyhow, without being long-winded, let me just try to run through what has happened since then. I believe that was around the April time. I was going into the summer. We just started getting into PT. I had foot neuropathy, things like that I had to heal up from. But I didn't have any regrets. The only thing I was saying at the end of this video, and you would have to go back and watch that because it's worth watching, I believe now. Sorry, I have a little sniffle too. But it showed what I was going through when I started pushing PT, and some of the thoughts that I felt was happening or could have potentially happened, like if I was damaging myself. And I couldn't get to my doctor until October at that time. So basically what I did was just keep pushing. I had the surgery in February 16th of 2023. So now we're in April, and we're heading into the summertime, and I wanted to enjoy the summer with the kids. I was down for a long time prior to surgery as well, and I was feeling pretty good on and off each month, but I just didn't want to give up the summer. PT was going well, but I did feel we were pushing. I wasn't sure what I was doing was too much, but I had a feeling, talked to my doctors, and just kept going. They said it was normal, but in my gut, it didn't feel normal. I started golfing. I got back into different activities, some regular work, and overall was feeling pretty good, but I just kept feeling something wrong. Something was not firing right. It was getting stuck. It was having certain pains and everything. So when I finally made it to my October visit with my neurosurgeon, he said it was a part of the process. It's a part of the healing. It could take 12 months, whatever. And I'm like, well, this is already 8-9 months in. So I asked him for my own peace of mind if I could just at least see the x-ray, because we had CAT scans and all that stuff. We didn't want to go under that too much. And that was one of the reasons why they didn't check it in my July visit. But we ended up doing an x-ray, and I was just hoping and praying that, it was just a part of the process as far as the healing and everything. But in my gut, I was 50-50, maybe more like 60-40, that something was wrong. And he came back into the room and said, wow, you really know your body. And that I had broken the screw on my left side some kind of way. It was broken in half, and because of the type of pain it was causing, and the fact that, like I was mentioning in that video, I just felt like maybe the fusion was kind of breaking. It never really locked in. All the stuff I was doing, it wasn't long enough for it to stay and keep going from here to here. It ended up, I guess, getting loosened, and something happened to our snapping in half. So unfortunately, that meant that I had to go back into surgery. Not the news I wanted to hear. And it was in October. It was just right after my birthday. I had battled 9 months, or whatever it was, 8 months, and thought I was getting progress. To have that news was just devastating. So, and then on top of that, I had some other unfortunate news with my brother, that he was not doing well. So he had to go back in. So we scheduled it for right before Thanksgiving, which was November 17th, to go right back in. And basically, because it was minimally invasive, they were going to just take the left side out and, you know, replace it. And it was tough at that time, not only because of, you know, life and everything, but it was tough because of my brother, who unfortunately had passed just 3 days prior. And that pain, it was, you know, losing a sibling was, we've never had that. And that, on top of knowing that I had to do the surgery, it was a big blow to battle, because I was going to have to endure two of the most intense pains that you can ever go through, the surgery and also losing a family member. But being I was minimally invasive, the surgery wasn't too bad, and I just tried to pick up the pieces. We did it on November 17th. Everything was successful. They didn't take the screw out because that part did embed deep enough to where trying to get it out would have shattered my tailbone. So instead, they left it in and then took everything else out, and then they went in with a thicker rod and screw and kind of came into the side of it, so it was kind of like that. And it chewed it up, but it also meant that I had to go through the whole process again of the whole 10 to 12 months, on top of trying to go through this healing with, you know, that heavy heart of my brother. So it was successful. We decided to have Thanksgiving at our house, and it was only a week later from that. And, you know, I just sat on the couch, but I tried to use the knowledge from the first time. And so a lot of that was about really just taking your time, being patient, do your PT, do all of that, but listen to your body along the way. And if it's telling you things, you know, if you're going too far, or, you know, if you need to back off, the first stages of it is truly letting it heal, letting it fuse. Some are going to be muscular things. If you feel muscular pains, acknowledge that, you know, you haven't been moving, you haven't been bending, twisting, lifting, all that, you know, so that's going to be a part of it. But there's a different pain level and signal of muscular pain versus if you're feeling like that stabby, that sharp, that dull, that like your legs don't want to fire, nerves come back down your legs, which I'm still glad that hasn't happened. My feet are still numb. I think that's a part of it, of the nerve, what nerve damage caused in my two toes. I still feel that to this day, but it doesn't really bother me. It's just, it's a weird feeling and just a sensation that you have to deal with. So moving on, I started the healing process again, but I did take things slower. I listened to it more. I got more into the nutrition, that whole aspect, and really just tried to follow and use the experience I had of not rushing myself like I did during the first time, because I felt like in the first 6 months or 5 months of the first surgery, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have these type of videos. And, every other month was feeling pretty good. And I just wanted to get back to life. And I felt like, man, it held really well. And I got this going on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be above time, ahead of time. I'm going to prove something. I don't know what it was, but you have to take your time. And I used that to my advantage this time and just really let it solidify, heal up. And I did a cleaner, I guess the first 4 or 5 months, just really trying to make sure I bumped up the protein and calcium a lot. And they also did a nerve blocker on the second one, which really helped the healing process. I try to stay off the meds as much as possible, and just really listen to the body. And, I got through, so I went November, but I had more time. And that was the other thing. I felt like I did the surgery in February of the previous year, March, April, May, June. And, I was really kind of rushing myself to get to the summertime. But this time I did it in November, and I had December, January. I had longer to really allow for it to settle in. And by the time I made it to the summer, I eased back in. We have a pool that really helps. If you could do water and, your PT, aerobics, walking. I walked a lot more this time and just try to stay more focused on just making sure it got solidified. So yeah, I went all the way through again, and got up into around September, which was that same time frame. And I had some ups and downs along the way, but nothing to the point of where I felt like I broke something. I did return back very slowly to golfing. I didn't come in as hot as I did last time. But I did return to golfing, but I just came in. I had a whole new, if anybody, golf is a big thing for me. I also tried to golf last time with clubs that were fitted for, heavier my swing before. And I just didn't have that power. So I changed my clubs up. I got much lighter shafts, all that stuff, and just did it slowly. And I went out there and walked just to be out there. Not necessarily playing, but just to be around the people, because you really do need to have something to occupy your time, your mind, while you're going through this healing process, or you could go crazy. People want to rush to get back to work. Again, I don't know if people had situations where you could be off of work, but I was fortunate enough that I could be home, and most of the things I did in the music and all that stuff I could do at home. But I just didn't rush myself to play, and I just went out there and walked just to be around things. I also did things on the smokers and like the cookers, to keep myself occupied. I did little projects, little things that wasn't weight bearing and all that, but it was more so for the mental, because I think the second time around, and it could also be in the first time, it was getting more into that mental and emotional and that sort of depression and things that would come up. Your career, your life has changed, all of that. So I think I was facing more of that, plus the first times of everything with my brother being gone, family stress and drama. So that all was going along the way, and through September, I felt like something was getting tweaked out, but luckily the x-rays showed I was fine. And then I ended up, in December of last year, I ended up becoming an operations manager for a company. It was a different position for me, but it did require a lot more sitting and everything. So fast forward up, I did that job, and it was a reality check to show me what I can and can't, at that point of what I can and really shouldn't be doing. It was a lot to deal with the job itself, because operation, you're dealing with everything. You're dealing with the operations. And that also meant that I had monitors everywhere, 3 monitors, laptop, phones, and that was something that it wasn't as active, so that played a part as well as far as the newest pains I was developing from the December last year. I was sitting too long, and I realized that that's something else that is not going to be on the table for me moving forward. Is something that I have to sit that long. I have to mix it up with some movement, some sitting. Excuse me. I almost feel like redoing this because of that. I'm sorry. but I had to let it go. There was other reasons why I left that, but a big part of it was what it was doing to me physically. I started to feel like my legs were not, from sitting in the compression and the flexors, my legs didn't want to fire. You know, it was starting to get some nerve pains going down my leg, and I haven't had that. So I ended up going back to the doctor after I left. That was probably in March, mid-March. So I went December to mid-March. I went back and I really felt like something happened again, but x-rays once again showed everything was clear, stable. And that was a huge relief because I couldn't even fathom going through it again. But I think a lot of that was stress and just sitting a lot. So kind of fast forward through March, I just decided once again, I'm gonna take the time to just focus on me, because also weight jumped up and down. You know, I've had a couple other things that happened where I did have an appendicitis, my appendix ruptured, and that was in right after the September. The appendix ruptured and put me right back into surgery. It was a longer surgery than expected, and I was down for another couple months, but this time I had to lay on my back, and you know, what you're not really supposed to do. So that took a toll on me, also leading through the whole process of the new job. But all in all, I made it through, and then I just kept pushing myself throughout this previous winter and up through the summer. I had a pretty decent summer. You know, you're having pains up and down, so that's the new norms of it all. You're gonna have the pains up and down. The worst part of it has been sleeping. Very difficult to sleep because of laying on your stomach or on your back. I still, when you move, it's just jolting. Once it actually fuses up, it kind of has that, like, you don't want to, it'll just, and it can almost bring you down to your knees. I've had mornings when I woke up that felt like my legs are almost paralyzed in a sense. But once you got moving, things got better. It's the new now. So try to wrap up. I know it's a long video. I'm rambling. I might have to do it again because I'm just rambling so much. But the things I would say is to stay positive and keep moving. It's hard to battle through because you're alone, you're sitting, or you're forced to work or do stuff, and you could put things in jeopardy. But try to stay positive. Be around positive people. Don't worry about what people are saying or not saying. You know, it's tough enough to go through it, and then to add on what you're thinking of other people or how other people are treating you. A lot of times people want to give you the respect and the space because you're healing, and they don't want to put you in situations. So I kind of took it more like that on the later end, instead of thinking people are just whatever, using you and all that stuff, because that's how your brain will do. Stay positive, be around positivity, stay moving, do things that are within your new norms, because that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to change your expectations. My whole thing is, I'm trying to live each day at a time. Like I try to get past what is ahead of me or too far ahead, as far as all the, what am I gonna do for new careers? What are I gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. Like, you're gonna drive yourself mad, and stress and all that does affect it. I'm telling you, I think that's affected things more for me than anything else, is being the depression that can happen, the stress, the not knowings, all of that. Just stay one day at a time. Trust yourself, and listen to your body. You know, if it's starting to hurt, back off. Trust yourself what's going on, because if I would have listened to myself, I did listen to myself, but I thought, you know, that was a part of the process. Either way, I knew something was wrong, and so I used that to my advantage, and I pay attention now and just back off when you feel something. Or if you feel like you can go forward, then go do it, because anytime you can get yourself stronger, it's only going to help. Anything that overstresses your body, you know, so don't try to go back and jump into, you know, powerlifting and squatting and all that stuff. You may have to find a different way, you know. That's a hard thing, because I used to lift and all that, but I know that's not gonna be something I could do. So I've changed that now in my mentality. Watch the nutrition. I'm this year coming. I made it my first year without having to do any surgeries and anything. I returned to golf. I've even won some tournaments, you know, and I did it all slowly. So this year I feel like I'm really gonna try to attack getting the nutrition, getting the weight off, because I bounced back and forth between the surgeries and different things, a couple of ear infections, you know, your steroids and this and that. It's just you know, just watch the nutrition, keep things cleaner, and that's gonna really help keep your weight down. You don't wanna add anything onto it. And find a routine that you can stick with, because you are a new you. So like I use that when golfing. I'm not the old golfer, I'm a new golfer. And the same thing with everything else. So I'm adapting myself to what they call like old man. Yeah, don't hit it as far, but be a little more consistent, go down the fairway. And that's kind of the same thing in life. You know, pace it out, just cruise through it, chill with it, you know, and really let it settle. Because I feel like if I pushed it again, I could break something again. The right side still can go. So I think it's something you have to live with, but just stick with something that you could do consistently and do daily. Just walk, you know, and nutrition, some light exercise, keep the muscles going, swimming, aerobics, that kind of thing. And then, again, just know that, be encouraged that it does help, because I have no regrets still that I did it. I know for a fact if I was where I was prior to the first one, there's no way I could do what I'm doing. I am doing a lot of things. I'm able to walk through the stores. I'm able to be with the family. You know, sometimes it can get exhausting, but I'm doing more that I've done in the last 2 years that I could have imagined. And I'm very grateful for that. And, you know, I'm just adjusting to what I can do now. And I'm going to keep pushing to the new levels of what I could do. The big thing is just get weight off, see where I'm at from there. And then continue to push slowly, and that's the key. Just push slowly and consistently, and don't get so far ahead of yourself. So again, I'm rambling. It's 22 and a half minutes, and it's long. I'm sorry, but you know, you're putting in, the last video was 4 to 6 months, or 4 to 6, so it was a 2 month span. This is almost 2 years later. I'm just trying to give anything that's helpful. So again, be encouraged. It has helped tremendously. You're just gonna deal with some new norms, and you're gonna deal with the growing and healings and the muscles coming back to life, nerve regeneration, all that stuff. Just be patient, don't rush it. You'll know, your body will tell you when you're ready. So best of luck, and again, thank you for watching. Be positive. Go back and check out the other ones, because there's some videos about the prepping and post-op and all that I feel could help. I might even go back and look at it. But all right, God bless. Take care.